Welcome to Authentic Wellness with Joni and Joey. I'm Joni.
And I'm Joey.
I'm so excited about today's show.
Today's going to be awesome. We have been trying to get this show for so long.
Yes.
I feel like it's going to be worth it.
Coordinating have been crazy.
Yes.
But it's something that I feel like is near and dear to both of our hearts.
Absolutely.
We're talking yoga today.
Yes. And not only talking yoga, we're talking a specific type of yoga with a studio owner in the town that we live in, Greensboro. And I would dare say that that's where I kind of started my whole wellness journey. I bought a Groupon for
You did?
dancing dogs. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that's how I got started with yoga. And I called up a friend of mine and I said, hey, would you go to a yoga class with me? And she was like, yeah, as long as it's not hot and not power.
Well, it was both.
Yes, both. Sorry, Becca. But we had a great time, and I was hooked on yoga from that point forward.
So I went to my very first yoga class like in the early 2000s with a friend of mine. She invited me, and I stuck with that teacher for probably 10 years.
Is
and
that
then
right?
she retired.
Oh no, that's
She
the
started
worst.
having grandchildren, and she just wanted to have more time with her family. And I searched and searched and couldn't find another studio that I liked as much, and then I finally found Dancing Dogs.
How about that? So the funny thing is, actually, I totally understand how it happened, but I was gonna say the funny thing is we've never run into one another there. But Joni's the morning person. She's
you're
probably
you're the evening person.
Yeah.
I'm ready to crash, and you're ready to work out.
Let's go. But that is too funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, today is going to be fantastic because we both love yoga. You went through your teacher training at Dancing Dogs.
At Dancing Dogs.
So yeah, we've both gone through yoga training, different places, different times. We both do yoga on a regular basis, and now we have an actual yoga expert.
Yes.
Coming in.
So in a few minutes, Libby Ramsey from Dancing Dogs studio will be joining us.
Yes, and
Can't
we
wait.
may even wind up doing some yoga at the end.
I hope so.
Me too.
Okay, so we're back, and now we have our guest, Libby Ramsey, with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Excited.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, as we were saying earlier, Libby is the owner of Dancing Dogs yoga studio in Greensboro, and you have a pretty cool story on how you got to where you are.
My gosh. Well, needless to say, it was not my dream to own a yoga studio my entire life. It just happened. But I came to yoga. I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2007, I guess, and I was running. I still run, but I was training for maybe a half marathon, and my running partner was an ultra marathoner. So we were running. His short runs were my long runs. And I was like, gosh, how do I stretch this? And he said, you need to go to yoga. And my first reaction was, that is so boring. I don't do yoga. I touch my toes and I stretch my quads and that's it. And he said, no, you need to try Baptiste Power Yoga. And so I went to Yoga One in Charlotte, which actually no longer exists, but then it was this big, robust power yoga community in Charlotte. And I went to my first class and was like, what is this? And kind of the rest is history in terms of my falling in love with this style of yoga.
Yeah.
When I moved to Greensboro then in 2012, there was no Baptiste yoga in Greensboro. Some great yoga studios, of course, but nothing that was really what I loved to teach and what I loved to practice. And so I ended up opening DDY Greensboro the next year.
That is awesome.
And then had my third child.
Yeah, and I think
I
I found you right around that time too.
Yes.
'Cause I had been going to another studio, and she ended up retiring.
Oh yeah.
Loved her classes, and then somebody said, you might like Dancing Dogs. Why don't you go try that? So I did, and I haven't gone anywhere else since. But I was on a journey to find another place that I felt like I fit into for a while. It took me a while to find you.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's so great about yoga, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, but there are so many different styles. And something I had to be okay with from the beginning was, this is who we are. This is the style we offer. Anyone is welcome. Anyone can do it. It's all levels. but it's not for everybody.
Right.
And I have to be okay with that.
Right.
It was kind of freeing, actually.
And that was what I had said in the intro, was your studio was my first exposure to yoga. I bought a Groupon, and I called a friend of mine and said, hey, do you want to go to a yoga class with me? And she said, yeah, as long as it's not hot and not power, I'm in. And we show up and we walk in the room and the heat like smacks you in the face. And I'm like, oh, sorry about that. She didn't stick with it, but I did. So you're exactly right. It's different for everyone. So you referenced Baptiste.
Yes.
What exactly does that mean? What style of yoga is that?
So Baptiste Power Yoga was founded by Baron Baptiste, and it is a style of vinyasa yoga. So vinyasa, as you know, means a flowing style of yoga. And Baron specifically, a great thing about his story is that he grew up, his parents were owned the original health center in San Francisco, like in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
So he grew up with Patabi Joyce and Bikram and like all of these, yoga masters in California way back then when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And so something I love about Baptiste yoga is Baron took what he learned from many different styles. He certainly doesn't claim to have created yoga, but just took parts, the heat from Bikram, but it's not as hot as Bikram, and a lot of the ancient practices, and put them into the sequence that is now Baptiste yoga.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You know what I really like about it is that when I first started coming to your studio, I did it because it was a hard workout.
Yeah.
It will kick your butt.
But it's so much more than that. And it took me so long to realize the relationship between breath and your spirit and your body. Like the whole thing. Like, I totally get it now.
Yeah.
I used to not get it.
Well, and I think that I came to it. The reason I liked it was because it counted as a workout. I still feel that way. I still feel like, okay, I can go to yoga and I can work hard and stretch and sweat and get my heart rate up and leave after a 45 or 60 minute class and feel like I checked a box and did my workout for the day.
Right.
And actually what you take from it is so much more than that. But what gets you there is the fact that you get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Lots of type A people come into Baptiste yoga thinking, I'm going to get my workout, but I'm going to get my spiritual practice and my breath work and
it's
some
efficient.
good nuggets.
You get it all done in one
you
place.
get it all done.
Type A. Total type A.
Yep. Me
So
too.
I remember that first class that I went to, the word wall. And the word, I think it was in the center, was nowhere. Or maybe the instructor was talking about nowhere. And she said, you're either nowhere or you're now here. It's the same word.
Yes.
It's just how you look at it. And that, for me, took it from, this is just a kick-ass workout to, I got to get my head into this too. So I think if you know that going into it, you might be able to kind of establish that baseline earlier, as opposed to it taking a long time to figure that out. So I was just lucky in the person that was teaching
that you heard
that.
You are either now here or nowhere.
Exactly.
What is something that Baron says, and it sticks with a lot of people.
It really it was. But if you have someone who's maybe new to yoga, or they think that yoga's boring, or they're intimidated by the poses,
I'm not flexible.
I'm not flexible.
Right. I hear I'm not flexible, so I can't come to yoga all the time. All the time.
How do you combat that?
It's not true. That means you need to come to yoga. So every class on our schedule and in Baptiste yoga is all levels. And so the way we're trained to teach, as you know, Joan, is to look at the room of people, and you're offering modifications if people in the room need them, and you're offering amplifications for people. To me, an amplification is just an invitation to do more, whether it's to work a handstand hop or lift a leg in this pose or do an extra push-up or whatever it is. And many people, as they get to know our practice, do those things anyway.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, open door of our practice, is if people can release the concern for what their practice looks like, then you realize that no one is looking at you anyway.
Right.
No one cares what you're doing over there. But I think when you're a new student, and I certainly felt this way, I was like, everyone is watching me. no one is watching
No
you.
one is.
No one's
I used
watching
to
you.
care. I used to feel
Yes.
like that. That's one of the things I like about the way that the instructors at your studio teach is that they're always reminding you that it's your practice. You're going to do what feels right for you today, and it might be different than tomorrow or yesterday.
Right.
And nobody cares.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think something that works about Baptiste yoga and pretty unique to Baptiste yoga is that our teachers do not practice while they're teaching. And while at first some new students might say, well, what am I supposed to do then? And you're like, if I don't know what to do, how do I know? And the answer is you listen.
Right.
And you put those words into your body. So the cues that we give are point-to-point cues, like put your right elbow on your left thigh. So if you listen, which is a great way to be present,
Right.
then you'll know what to do. And also the room is doing, and then also nobody cares what you do. But I think having our teachers have their eyes on the students makes a really big difference. Like, we're not going to let anyone do anything where they'll hurt themselves or, I don't know, be in a completely wrong pose. Sometimes we'll say, step your right foot forward. Your right foot forward. Your right foot forward.
Other right foot.
Other right foot, everybody. It's fine. And it's just fine.
Right.
No one takes themselves too seriously.
Right.
For sure.
So if people are elsewhere, they're not in Greensboro, they're in other parts of the country, and they look for a Baptiste studio, is there kind of a standard way that the class is run? Like, would they find similar teaching styles across different Baptiste studios?
Yeah, so generally speaking, yes. And I would say those studios have all levels, power flow. We're teaching, I mean, the Baptiste yoga is a 52 pose sequence. It has 11 sections of the sequence, and that's a general template. It's one of the things that's amazing about teaching it. So kind of like your show, actually, and I love this. There's a structure and there isn't a structure. So it's really what's happening in the moment. And that's what's so freeing, what makes it so freeing to teach it. Because you're really just in the practice with everyone who's in the room. So because I have the foundation of this sequence, then from there I can kind of throw in whatever I want or take out whatever I want or do whatever the moment seems to be calling for. Like sometimes you look at a room and you're like, I just feel like you guys want another wheel pose. We're going to need to do another wheel pose. And it's fun and light and in the moment like that. So yes, I would say, you know, every class at our studio, we have 18 teachers. So everyone's teaching from the same general structure and everyone brings a little something different to every class. And it's really organic and in the moment.
Yeah.
Right now, a great thing, thanks to COVID, a COVID silver lining, we're still teaching yoga live on Zoom. So no matter where you live, in fact, we do just have a lot of people who live in California. We have a student who moved to Europe who still takes our classes. So we do have a good number of people who are still doing yoga live on Zoom. So we're teaching to the people in the room as well as the people on the Zoom screen at the same time.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Who knew?
Yeah,
I
right.
was doing it in my basement for a while, and then I was like, I wanted the community. Like, I wanted to be back with people. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to wear my mask and do it.
Yes.
hopefully COVID will be over soon and we won't have to wear masks again.
Right.
You know, I think that's true of probably a lot of things during the experience of a pandemic that I think many people forgot what it was like to go to wherever, go to school, go to a gym, go to DDY for yoga. And almost 100%, I would say, of everyone who comes back for the first time said, oh my gosh, I forgot. You know, like I forgot how great it is to be here, or how much the sweat makes a difference, or how much I appreciate community and being with other people.
Right.
And it had been so long, we kind of forgot about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you go at the same time, I go at the same time. Of course I do. Every
5 in
time,
the
every
morning.
day. But you see the same people there. So then you build your little community there too.
Right.
But one of the things I love about your studio too, and I don't know if this is, it is a Baptiste thing, but I think that you guys really enhanced it, is community. And you do so many different programs. And then you just do social things too. And it's fun. I've done the 40 Days to Personal Revolution a few times. And I get something different out of it every time. Do you know what that is?
I do. So I bought the book.
Oh, good.
Oh, congratulations.
Step one.
And I was gonna do it on my own, and that didn't happen. And then I was gonna do it with one of the groups, and that didn't happen. So she's the disciplined.
Okay, January 2022.
You need to do it. Because one of the 12 laws is stepping out of your comfort zone.
there
Oh
you
boy,
go.
it was so hard for me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So 40 Days, for those who don't know, is a Baptiste program. It is a book, and it's really timeless. It was written probably, gosh, I'd have to check, but at least 15 years ago, because I think I did my first one in 2007. And you do yoga 6 days a week, meditate daily an increasing amount of times every week, and follow a balancing diet, and do inquiry work. So it's a really great program. I don't know how many times I've done it, and every time it's different, just like going to a yoga class.
Right.
Every time it's different. You're different.
Yeah.
Last time I had an accountability partner.
Yeah.
So we had to check in with each other. So there was no getting off the hook. You had to do your stuff.
So you're gonna do it again in January?
I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, whoa. You're it's funny how you did that, Joan.
I know, right? You're in. I'm in. Well, no, I do, and I've noticed. I know there were some meditation classes that took place at the studio, and you have kids classes, and the little, what's the straps,
Aerial
and the trapeze
yoga.
and all that. I mean, it's.
We've been doing sup yoga all summer, which has been really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, a neat thing is that, our bread and butter is our schedule of heated, all levels, power flow classes. And then like the sprinkles on the cupcake are outdoor classes. Or we just taught, this was really cool, the first ever yoga class at the North Carolina Folk Festival. So Terry taught that last weekend, and it was just a big free community class. We teach yoga at the United Way Family Success Center to people who are in the program there to move their lives forward and get out of poverty. And there are so many ways that yoga can be a tool in your toolbox, wherever you are in life or however you take it. There's someone who's incredible on their yoga mat and then a wreck somewhere else in their lives. And it's like, if you can somehow make the connection between the two, in the same way you might, have a killer yoga practice and then go get on a stand-up paddleboard to do yoga and you're like falling all over the place. No, it's all the same.
Again, it's that pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and finding, what we try to talk about is finding your way to authentic wellness, because what works for one person may not work for another.
Right.
But there is a yoga practice that can work for everyone. I would imagine.
Yes.
There's so many different, like you said, types and levels. You just have to try it and see.
Right. So how would you encourage somebody that doesn't do yoga on a regular basis to get started?
Right. Well, I would say in terms of our studio, we have a new student deal that's a month of yoga for $30. And the thing I love about that is we don't do like first class free, because we're like, no, you need to come more than one time. So that would be my number one thing, no matter where you go, what studio, like go more than once, right? Like go to different teachers, go to different class times. If it's a studio that offers all different types of yoga, which many studios do, like go to the different styles of yoga. Because that's how you'll find what you like and what you don't like. So that's one thing. I think another is just the practice of releasing the concern for looking good. And we have a t-shirt, one of our original DDY t-shirts says, more practice, less perfect. And again, like that's something that applies whether you ever actually do a physical yoga pose or not, like to understand that it's a practice. I said to a class last week, like, we're going to be doing this until we are old and gray forever, till we die. So like, you don't need to be perfect. We're practicing it we have a long, long time to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think coming at it from that perspective, that you can't win it.
Right.
That
you say that all the time.
You can't win yoga. But you can win other stuff. And I love winning, but you can't win yoga. I always say, I played lacrosse in college and I love playing sports. I love to win stuff. But I'm like, if you had told me that my career and a big part of my life would be something that you can't win and you just practice it forever, that sounds terrible. But here I am.
And apparently loving it.
I do love it. I do love it. I love practicing yoga and I love sharing yoga.
That is
for
fantastic.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, hopefully this will help to share yoga with people that have been resistant, have been intimidated. and know that, you don't have to put your foot behind your ear or any of those things when you're starting.
Yes.
You may get there eventually when you're old and gray and have been practicing for many, many years.
Or not.
Right.
I teach yoga to the High Point University women's lacrosse team every Friday. And these are incredible high-level athletes. And they're young, too. They're 18 to 22 years old.
My niece played for them.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh. She knows you.
Oh, she does? I did not know that. Can't believe we're just making this connection on air. But one thing I love about them is I'll give them a challenging pose just to kind of keep it interesting and fresh. They're always sore. They're always tight. And they will laugh hysterically and they'll try it.
Yeah.
And I love that about them. Like, they're not like, yeah, no way. Or they might fall on their faces. And then if somebody has success with it, they start cheering for each other or spotting each other. So it's just fun. I mean, I feel like they're such a great example of stepping out of your comfort zone and not caring what it looks like and trying and failing or falling or not being able to do it or whatever. Like that's the practice.
What a great skill to be able to not be concerned about how you're looking and how you're thinking and all of that kind of stuff. Is that kind of something that you learn specifically in Baptiste yoga, or where does that concept come from?
Yeah, I think back to when I was a teenager, or even when I was playing a sport in college or in my 20s, and think if I had these tools when I was their age, like how transformational that would have been. Something that comes to mind is in Baptiste yoga, we have the 3 themes of Baptiste yoga, and they're actually on the door to the interior door of the studio, and they are: give up what you must, come from you are ready now, and be a yes. And to me, it's like, I think of those things all the time off my mat during my day when I'm working or parenting or in my marriage or in conversations with my mother. She'll probably see this and be like, what are you talking about? Right? But just just great reminders that are from the physical practice, but things that work off your yoga mat.
Yeah.
You hear yoga, I'm sure you've heard yoga teachers say, refer to off your mat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like you were talking about earlier, Joan, you come to the practice for the physical part of it and the flexibility and strength and breath work, even though that's so spiritual and it makes you feel good, that's still the physical part of the practice. But then things like the themes and concepts of yoga, if you start to take those things off your yoga mat, you will blow your life out of the water with what you were missing, because you were, and we talk about so often in Baptiste yoga, we say disrupt the drift.
Yeah.
And Baptiste yoga is literally, as a practice, is focused on disrupting the drift of your life. This concept that all of us are just kind of drifting along, tired or not well. Right. And so what can you do? And so many wellness practices are to disrupt that drift.
Yeah.
Right. And change your course.
So it really is practices that you can learn in the studio or on your mat to help you deal with all the things you deal with once you're out of there.
But you have to show up for it.
You do have to show up for it.
So speaking of showing up for it, do you want to show us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to.
Okay, so we'll bring out some yoga mats and we'll have you show us a couple poses that people can do at home.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do just a few poses that you might want to know before you go to an all levels power flow class. So there are 52 poses, there are lots of variations. You are not going to go into a class knowing every pose, and that's the point, and it's all good. But these are a few that it would be good to know. Okay. So let's start in child's pose. So come to your mat facing forward, take your knees out wide towards the outer edges of your mat, reach your arms forward, and put your forehead down on your mat. So this is when everyone wants to go back to sleep. Open your eyes and really press your palms down into your mat. This is where you begin the power yoga practice usually, but most importantly, it's somewhere you can always come when you need a break. Okay, take a big breath in, ladies. Big exhale. Most important yoga pose, breathing. Downward facing dog. So press into your hands, lift your knees up, and press your hips up to the ceiling. So the shape of your body is a V. You're in an upside down V. Yeah, and see how your hands are about shoulders width apart, your feet are about hips distance apart. Look at these experienced ladies with their knees soft. Yeah, so you can straighten your legs all the way or soften your knees a little bit. You can always come to your knees if you need to. The biggest difference maker in downward facing dog is pulling your belly in, so really engaging your core, and it fires up and supports the whole entire pose. Okay, walk your feet forward, ragdoll. Oh, this is my fave. You can let your arms hang heavy. I have so many favorite poses though. Or reach for opposite elbows or sway side to side. This pose is actually a great reset for your day if you ever just need to like, let your thoughts and stress tumble out of your head, get some energy. You can shake your head out. Yes, and then no, and then yes. Always finish with yes. All right, rise up to standing. Bring your hands to heart center. Let's take one more pose, really two more poses that you'll see a lot throughout the transitions of really all vinyasa yoga. So first we'll do warrior one. Step your right foot forward, your left foot back. And so in warrior one, your right foot faces 12 o'clock and lunge, here you go ladies, all the way into your right leg. So your right leg is 90 degrees. So if you have tight hips, which is basically most people in the world, your hips want to turn open, like to your left. So your work in warrior one is to turn your hips forward towards the front of your mat. And you'll feel this big opening in the front of your left hip. One thing I love to do in this pose is tell everyone to move your back foot out to your left, and that gives your hips some room. So in warrior one, your back heel is down, facing at about 10 o'clock. All right, reach your arms up, wake up your hands. All right, now part your arms, warrior two. So the difference between warrior one and warrior two is just where you're facing. I was gonna say your momentum, and it is where you're facing. So warrior one, your hips square forward. Warrior two, your hips open up. So even though this might not be considered a hip opener, it's a really big hip opener pose. When you look down, make sure you can see your right big toe. And if you can't, push your right knee to your right a little bit. And then squeeze your left hip under, and now reach your fingertips as far away from each other as you can. Really big, powerful pose. If you're ever feeling not good about yourself, just take a warrior two. Stop, drop, and warrior two. All right, good job, ladies.
Perfect. Feels so good.
Yeah, so most importantly, know that you can know these poses or not know these poses and go to a yoga class and you'll be just fine. Just show up.
Oh, so amazing.
Love it. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So if people aren't local and they want to find you and they want to do a class with you on Zoom, how do they get there?
Yes, thank you. Our website is dancingdogsyoga.greensboro.com. And when you go there, you can click on our class schedule and you'll see every class time that's listed has in studio and live on Zoom. And we also actually have 2-for-1 recordings every week that are new every Monday. So if you want to do yoga on your own time, you can purchase that and get some classes to do on your own.
Oh,
Oh, that's amazing.
Such great information, Libby. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Y'all are amazing.
Thank you.
Love it. Thank you.
We'll see you on the mat later.
Sounds good.
That was fun.
That was fun. It makes me want to go to a full yoga class now.
No, I usually start my day with yoga and I didn't do that today. I was like, I want to keep going.
Well, hopefully if you guys at home try these couple of poses, or you look for a yoga class in your community or online, or follow Libby, you'll find the joy and the satisfaction that we have found with yoga.
Yes.
So hopefully this was a nice little intro.
Yes, I love it and I highly recommend it. I like to recommend it because it doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
You can get something out of it.
Yes, absolutely. So don't be intimidated by it. Don't be scared of it. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. So try it out. Tell them we sent you.
Namaste.
Namaste.